Hello and welcome to another story, and this time we're studying Matisse, Henri Matisse, with his fabulous book written by Samantha Friedman, illustrations by Cristina Amodeo, reproductions of artworks by Henri Matisse. It's a good one. You're going to like it. Have you heard of Matisse? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, right, so here we go. Matisse's garden.
Huh?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a garden.
No, look at these amazing illustrations. One day, the artist Henri Matisse cut a small bird from a piece of white paper.
That's why there's no eyes.
He's wearing glasses.
Yeah, why?
Because he wears glasses. He's an old man now. It was a simple shape, but he liked the way it looked and didn't want to throw it out. So he pinned it on the wall of his apartment to cover up a stain. There was a stain on his wall. So he put this white cutout shaped bird on his wall. Look, all the illustrations in the book are all being cut out, haven't they? Collaged. The bird seemed lonely by itself, so Matisse cut out more shapes which joined the bird on the wall. Oh, look. That one looks like it's a bit of coral, or an octopus, or just a blob. They're not sharp corners though, are they? They're very rounded. Oh, that looks like a real bird outside. And that's a fruit bowl.
Oh.
As he cut shape after shape from the white paper, he thought about a trip he had taken many years before to the island of Tahiti. The shapes looked like the birds, fish and seaweed he had seen there. He was inspired, wasn't he? Ha ha! As his scissors glided through the paper, he thought about how a bird must feel when it flies. As he cut, Matisse felt like he too was flying. He felt free when he was cutting all these shapes out. Ooh. Soon his walls were covered with plants and animal shapes. They captured the feeling of soaring and the sensation of swimming. But they didn't convey the bright blue of the sky or the deep blue of the sea. So he made a new work, this time pinning his white forms to sheets painted azure and marine blue. Let's have a look. Ooh, look at that. It's a whole wall, isn't it? It's got three colours and loads of shapes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Look at that. So there's lots
4 pages on that page.
Yeah.
Haha.
Can you see some birds flying around?
Yeah.
And these almost look like starfish, don't they? And I sort of feel like these are leaves or seaweed.
No, they look like fish ray.
Fish ray?
No, I mean, stingray.
Stingrays? No, or some of these might do if it's the ocean. It's all very organic though, isn't it? Lots of lovely shapes going on there. When he saw how the colour brought his shapes to life, he asked his assistants to paint sheets of paper in a range of shades, from vermilion to lemon to violet. Instead of using only white paper, he decided he would make his shapes by cutting directly into the colour. What colour is vermilion? Do you know? Vermilion is red. He tried a pink leaf against a background of orange and a green leaf against a background of black. He cut leaves of other hues and set them against backgrounds of every shade, experimenting with different harmonies and contrasts. The way the colours played with and against each other. Do you remember we talked about that, contrasting colours, when you have like opposite colours so it stands out a bit? I think that's what he was experimenting with. What counts most with colours are relationships, Matisse thought. Ooh, he loved his colours. Ah, look, another double page opening.
Yeah.
Look at that. So he's kept it more simple now, hasn't he? Look, there's just 2 colours there. We're going to find out how to do those. Matisse cut and cut The leftover paper fell to the floor, because that's what happens when you cut, doesn't it? He realised that every shape he cut created another shape. Instead of throwing away the leftover pieces, he added them to the composition, the actual piece of work. They weren't leftovers at all. Do you ever have that? You cut and you've got the offcuts that have fallen on the floor. Well, you can actually use them, he discovered. In fact, they make interesting shapes. So there, look, see, these are the offcuts. So he's got the shape here, and this is the leftover bits. But he's decided to use them and stick them on a piece of paper, and it makes another interesting shape. Oh, look, that one almost looks like a face, doesn't it? Sometimes the shapes he cut were simple, like squares. Ooh. But when he arranged them in just the right way, they took flight like a swarm of bees. He had a good imagination, didn't he?
Yeah.
Look at that. Ooh, it's making my eyes go funny. Look, that looks like the swarm of bees, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Zzz, or flies. Flies. Zzz.
Yeah, because it is black, so it does look like flies.
With loads of squares and stripes.
Yep.
Interesting. I bet that's a huge painting. He composes shapes to show familiar scenes, like a woman in a room with a vase of flowers. So he wasn't interested in all the detail, he just wanted the shapes and the colour. And he turned familiar objects into simple forms, which he then composed into patterns. Look, can you see anything there? Vase with flowers, a jug, looks like a light, or are they flowers? Look, it's a person.
Yeah, it's got a yellow line going down.
It's very interesting. It's something you could stare at for a while. His cutouts started very small and got larger. And then large as a wall. I love that. I love working big. Look at that. Huge. Ah! Like a botanical garden.
Did he actually jump into the painting, or?
Well, I think he's just surrounded by enormous cutouts, isn't he?
Yeah.
And offcuts, until they stretched across the walls of his studio, curving around corners and covering doors. Oh, that looks like a really happy place though, doesn't it? I love it. Lots of rounded curves, shapes and colours. And just being so big makes it fun. Matisse realised happily, I have made a little garden around me where I can walk. Oh look, another one. Ooh, he likes these shapes, doesn't he? That will make great wallpaper. Quite busy. And for his garden, Matisse cut a small bird from a piece of blue paper. And there it is, as if he's setting it free. And that's the story of Matisse. And there at the back, it's got a little bit about his life, and it's got a reference to the real paintings where you can see them. Oh, so that one is called, what's that one called? The Bees, Summer 1948. That's interesting. Northern France. He trained to be a lawyer but took up painting while recovering from an appendicitis. In 1891, he went to Paris to study art. That's it. And then he decided to become an artist. That's the story of Matisse, Henri Matisse.
Why is he not drawing anything? He's just cutting.
He's cutting because this is later on in his life, when he was an old man. When he was earlier, when he was a young man, he did paintings. Yeah. So it's good. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah.